Let's just let that sink in for a second. I know, that sounds incredibly harsh, right? But what if we flip the script on that? What if it's not meant as an insult, but more like a diagnosis? What if the real gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't about luck or who you know, but about having the right set of tools in your toolbox?
That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Think of this as opening up a secret playbook, the one the top 1% use to will pretty much dominate their fields. And these aren't just little tips and tricks. These are fundamental, game-changing skills that shift how you play entirely.
So, here's the game plan. First, we'll cover the basic premise, the big idea behind all this. Then we'll get into the offensive plays, your tools for creating value. We'll talk about the amplifier, how to make those skills even more powerful, then dive into the persuasion engine, the visibility play, and wrap it all up with the final move. Ready? Let's do it.
All right, first things first. Let's talk about the game itself. You ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels? You have these huge goals, you're working hard, but you're not really getting anywhere? Well, it might be because you've misunderstood the game you're actually in.
This analogy it hits perfectly. Imagine trying to win a game of chess when you don't even know what a knight or a bishop does. You're putting in the effort, you're moving your pieces, but you keep getting checkmated. That's the problem. It's not that you're not working hard, it's that you don't know the rules of engagement that the top players are using against you. It's about strategy, not just brute force. Okay, so how do we flip that? How do we go on the offense? It all starts with two incredibly powerful foundational skills: learning how to create an irresistible offer and learning how to leverage AI.
This is the absolute bedrock of everything. Seriously, if your offer is weak, nothing else matters. No amount of slick marketing or sales tricks can save you. The goal is to pack so much value into your offer that the price seems like an afterthought, almost a joke. You want people to feel stupid saying no. It's not about being cheaper. It's about being way, way more valuable.
And this is how you start thinking about that value. People don't buy the what, they buy the so what. They're not buying a knife, they're buying the feeling of effortlessly slicing through a tomato. They're buying a solution to their problem, a way to cut through their frustration and get the outcome they want. Still not convinced? Check out this number. $57 million. That's the record for the biggest single launch in history. And it was done by a guy who is known as the absolute master of creating offers. This is what's possible when the offer itself is so good it does all the heavy lifting for you. Now let's talk about the second offensive play. AI. Look, the conversation isn't about AI versus humans anymore. That's old news. The real game, the new game, is people who use AI versus people who don't. The winners are going to be the ones who confuse their human creativity and strategy with the insane leverage that AI provides. I love this analogy because it's so true. Tony Stark, on his own, was just a brilliant guy. He wasn't the strongest Avenger, but you put him in that suit, he's a powerhouse. That's exactly what AI is for you. It's a force multiplier. It lets one person do the work of 10, automating research, spitting out content, building entire systems. Basically, it makes you lethal. So you've got your offensive plays down. Great start. But here's the real secret sauce, the thing that the truly successful get that most people miss. It's not about being the best in the world at one single thing. It's about how you combine your skills. Okay, let's start with a single, high-value skill. Say, copywriting, the ability to sell with written words. Super useful, right? Now, let's stack another skill on top. You take your copywriting ability and you amplify it with AI. Instantly, you're not just a good writer, you're a content machine. You're 10 times faster, 10 times more effective. And this is where it becomes game over for the competition. You take your AI-powered copywriting and you stack on some solid sales skills. Now what are you? You're not just a writer, a tech user, or a salesperson. You're this rare hybrid that's incredibly valuable. You're in a category all by yourself. That is the power of skill stacking. All right, let's zoom in on that engine that actually drives people to act. The persuasion engine. This is all about two key components, that powerful copywriting we just talked about, and something called frame control, which is just a fancy way of saying the ability to shape how people see a situation. So, copywriting is way more than just writing pretty sentences. It is salesmanship in print. It's about understanding human psychology so deeply that your words make people feel something, make them want something, and crucially, make them take action, all without you ever having to be in the room. And this is the difference it makes.
Most people operate with force. They're constantly chasing clients, chasing deals, pushing their message out there. But true persuasion? That's power. It's about creating something so compelling that you attract opportunities to you. It's a magnetic pull instead of a desperate push. Which one sounds better to you?
Okay, we're building a pretty amazing toolkit here. But you could have the best offer, the most persuasive message, the most lethal skill stacked, and it would all mean absolutely nothing if nobody knows you exist. And that brings us to the visibility play.
This quote is just a brutal, honest truth about the world we live in. Attention is the new oil. It's the currency of our time. And while we might wish it was a pure meritocracy, the reality is that being well-known gives you a massive, massive advantage. Now, if you can be both the best and the best known, well, then you're basically untouchable. So how do you get known? You build a personal brand. Think of it like creating a digital twin of yourself that's out there working for you around the clock, even when you're sleeping. Every piece of content you create, a video, a post, an article, is like a tiny soldier generating what you could call passive attention. And that's just as valuable, if not more so, than passive income.
So, we've built our skills, we've amplified them, we've learned to persuade, and we've created visibility. What's left? It's time for the final move, the one that connects and leverages everything else you've done. Networking. And this is a huge mindset shift. The top 1% understand this deeply. They know that social capital, who you know and who trusts you, is often way more powerful than startup capital. One phone call to the right person can be more valuable than a year of hard work. Access is the ultimate cheat code.
But, and this is so important, look at the order of operations here. This is where everyone gets it wrong. They try to start with step 3. They go to networking events and ask, "What can you do for me?" And they fail. Why? Because they bring zero value to the table. The playbook is clear. First, you build yourself up. You develop those skills. Then, you become a person of value. And only then, when you have something to offer, can you effortlessly build and leverage a powerful network.
So there you have it, the secret playbook. It's not magic, and it's not luck. It's a strategy. It's a set of skills. The game board is set, and now you know how the pieces move. So the only real question left is the one right there on your screen. What's your first move?